This episode is brought to you by Lash Boss Summit. Lash Boss Summit is 2 full days of education in Austin, Texas on April 26th and 27th. The lineup is incredible. There are so many talented and genuine people on stage, so you're going to walk away with a ton of lash artistry and business strategy after that weekend. Not only that, there is built-in networking opportunities so that you can make new friends and connections while you're here. Your ticket also includes breakfast and lunch on both days, and all of this could be under $500 if you use code LashBossRadio. Lash Boss Summit is regarded as being incredibly impactful but not overwhelming, in the sense of it was designed to reduce anxiety and just be very warm and welcoming and just deliver a ton of value. The lineup, agenda, and tickets can all be found on lashbosssummit.com. I'd really like to see you there. I promise you it will be more than worth it. Enjoy this episode, and I hope to see you in April. Hey everyone, welcome back to Lash Boss Radio. I'm Shelby, your host, and today I am joined by the lovely Lindy Williams from EBL Lashes. She was actually my 5th podcast episode ever, like 5 years ago. So I'm so excited to bring her back again and learn all about what's changed since she's last been on and a few other fun topics. So welcome back to the show, Lindy.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again.
A lot has changed for both of us, I feel like, since you have last been on. Can you give us like a rundown of everything in the last couple years, or just even recently, that's been going on? Probably that would be easier. Just what's going on lately with EBL?
So I feel like so much can change in 6 years.
Yeah.
6 years ago, I feel like my business was great and my life was great and easy, fun, no problems. I'd say in the last like 6 months, for whatever reason, my life was like great, and then it went like down in the dumps. um, like personal life, right? I've had crazy, like lots of illness in my immediate family, cancer, death, accidents, which I think I counted the other day because I was like, why does all these bad things keep happening to me? I was at number 6. So I'm like, okay, hopefully it's up from here. But as my personal life has struggled, I feel like I can say my business has not. And I feel like the only reason that it is that way is because I have systems set in place. And I heard this quote a really long time ago, and I don't remember where I heard it from, so I'm sorry if I don't know who it was, but it said, set up systems, and without a system, you don't have a business, you just have a hobby. So I feel like even my life was through the trenches and going through crazy things personally. I don't feel like my business was able to suffer because I had it set up and have it to set up to run. Basically, like if I got lost or died, which I'm not going to, it would still run appropriately. So I think that's very important to have in your business. But yeah, that's kind of a start to.
Well, I'm so sorry to hear like all of that has happened in such short amount of time. I'm so sorry about that. And I'd love to actually hear some of the systems like that have stuck out to you that have been really helpful, so that the business can run with or without you.
Yeah. So I mean, there were moments where like I was supposed to, I had meetings planned for the next day or something, and like 3 hours before, I'm like, I actually have to cancel. I can't even do this. But it was okay because we have so much planned already. So I wrote down a few systems to share. And I want to start off with saying, 6 years ago in 2018, I didn't have a lot of these systems in place. I haven't always had them. And that's okay. But I think as you're growing and scaling your business, it's probably important to decide what you can hire, what you can and can't personally do. Obviously, I feel like there's always more things you might want to hire because everyone wants to work less. Um, but you just have to make sure that the expense of a new employee or whatever it may be will match what is feasible in your business. Um, so I would say in the last 6 years even, I started prioritizing, okay, what can I do? What am I capable of doing? And what do I need to hire out? So I did more of my needs first rather than, like, my wants.
Mhm.
And I just really base it off of, like, if I'm good at something, I can keep doing that. If I'm not, I don't wanna learn something new. I don't have the time to do that. So I'm gonna let someone else do that for me. And I wouldn't say there's like a when you're making X amount of money, okay, you can afford to hire something out. I would just say keep track of your books and budget it accordingly.
Right. I get
Um,
it.
but one of the things that I did was prioritize. So I decided, okay, who can I hire? What can I hire? Once I decided who to hire, then I prioritized what tasks, and like what we could plan, what we could schedule, because really to create less stress in my business and my life, I feel like it needs to be more scheduled, and planned on what we're going to do. So to create my systems, my first tip, I guess, for what I did was to plan ahead. So one of the examples that I have is every Wednesday, I meet with our social media team every single Wednesday, and we always plan. Our goal is 3 months ahead. So we're planning 3 months ahead right now. So, we'll just continue to plan, and we do about 2 weeks at a time. So we'll continue to plan so that we're always 3 months ahead. Does that make sense?
Yep, makes sense. What a goal. That's a dream of mine. Go ahead.
And so we do all of the social media. So we'll say like, okay, for emails, we're going to do this. And since we're talking about that in email, we're going to string it into Facebook and Instagram. We've just implemented threads. I feel like with that, we are still learning. I mean, we did it when it first came out, whenever that was, and then it kind of fizzled away. And now we're going back. So we plan all of that down to like who we are going to feature, what product we're going to feature. Um, and with that, so say, okay, we're gonna, so this week we're focusing on cleaning lashes. So on all of our platforms, we're teaching how to teach your clients how to clean them, what products you need, maybe some graphics into like that you could share, some user generated content that you guys could share with your customers. Um, so with all of that, we also need to make sure that cleansers are in stock. So we've planned this content, these product categories for 3 months. So we also need our stock people to decide, okay, we need to make sure that we are up on our orders, that, it's current based on how much people order and whatnot. So I feel like the whole thing is really like a mathematical problem. And as long as we are keeping up on that, we are okay. I would say logistics and stocking product is probably a better team than what I do. Sometimes I feel like I'm like, "Oh, shoot, we're only planned like 2 months." But so the point of the whole plan is so that when things do happen in my life, I don't fall short because something happened, or I'm not stressing and angry and then making myself sick or something because I haven't planned. So if you have a plan and you follow your plan, even when we are very ahead, we still have our meeting because there's things that we could maybe just analyze or review or look over, say, okay, we did that last month, but it actually didn't really work. So let's actually change, something along the lines. So feel like planning is very, very important. Because we all have, I'm sure everyone listening could name some natural disaster that happened in their life that they were like, "Oh gosh," like, you had to cancel your clients for or something, and it is a major bummer, but if you are a little prepared, hopefully it isn't as big of a dent as it might have been if you weren't. Um, Another thing we plan ahead that I feel like is really great, but also sometimes I'm like, "Oh, man." So we just finished our schedule for the whole year of where we will be going, as far as events are. I mean, I texted you, like, I think last year maybe, and
Mhm.
you were probably like, "Why is she texting me so early?" Um, but I wanna be make sure that for a few reasons, like, that we can make it to the events that we wanna make it to. I can't make it to every single event because financially, that's a lot. Time-wise, that's a lot. So I have to plan and prepare on my end, okay, we have a marketing budget of this is how much we can spend. So we've just finished planning all of our trade shows and conferences and events that we'll go to. Um, so we have through our last event, I think will be LashCon, yes, because we don't do any in November or December. Um, but that also makes it kind of tricky because we plan everything. I do miss out on like the last minute, if say someone messages in May, "Hey, can you come to my event in June?" I'm like, "Oh." I wish so for anyone listening that does do events or of any kind, the more notice the better. I love it, and then we can just plan ahead and be better prepared for it. Um so yeah, that's a few things that we do to help create systems and make sure that they're still chugging along.
I I loved that whole however long that was. I was just that makes me so happy. Like, I love systems so much too, and I've realized how important they are, especially for the owner, because when it is in the beginning and you're first starting out a business, you are doing so many roles, and if you're something goes wrong with you, even if it's just getting sick, it really
Yeah.
messes some things up. So systems are amazing. I also wanted to ask you, like, on a smaller scale or on a different level, like as a lash artist, what are some ways a lash artist can kind of think of systems that maybe can help them? I thought of one just as you were talking. What if it's like instead of working 5 days in a row, they have a day that they don't have anything scheduled in the middle, just in case they were to something happen, they don't have to wait until the end of the week or following week to reschedule. I don't know.
Yeah.
But do you have any?
So, okay, so I like to use the example like is basically what you said. When you go to the doctor, I have kids. So, whenever I do, I call the same day and I'm like, "Hey, can I get my kid in for a well visit or a sick visit?" They call it. I'm not really sure. You call the same day and try to get in the same day.
Right.
Those doctors always leave an opening for a situation like that. So, I think it's smart for a lash artist. Okay, you're booked and busy. That's great, but what if your client, something comes up, their kid is sick, their mom needs a ride, whatever it may be, or something tragic happens? Make sure that you have a spot to get them in. Um, and even though your clientele might be full, um, don't don't like dismiss that one person that needs to get in. I always did those either after my clients for the end of the day, even if I had already had a lot of clients that day, I always save spots. Okay, I'm going to have them be my last client. Or I would do them on a Saturday, especially if it was the reason of me rescheduling
Yeah,
them.
right.
If I am the one if I am the reason it was rescheduled, I will do it at whatever time and day they want because it was me inconveniencing them. But obviously if they I mean, I wanna do the same, but if they needed to reschedule for whatever reason, sometimes it might be a little trickier, but I always try to get them in the same time, same week, so that we don't have.
And especially in the case where it is something like the artist is sick, but the client the next day has to go out of town or something. Even if you have someone else that you trust in your area that you can pass them off to or something, that's helpful. But just having a plan is better than being reactive to everything that comes up.
And I always say to have a plan A, B, and C. in case A and B don't work out, it's fine. You still have plan C.
Yeah.
So, for lash artists and inventory, I would say and I mean, I am in the business of selling products, so of course I want you to buy product, but you don't always need everything that is advertised. You don't need every single curl, every single diameter. And so a great thing that I like to do was determine what do I use on my clients. So I typically write what I did on them, CC 0.07, 6 through 11 millimeter, and I would determine what do I use the most, and I would date my lash trays so that
Oh.
I know when I started using it, and then once I was about to run out, so that way, when a sale or something like Black Friday or a spring sale, whatever that company that you order from has, I know, okay, well, I use that one a lot. It took me 3 months to go through, so I wanna be stocked up for 6 months, so I'm gonna order 2 of them, rather than just guessing and ordering 5 or ordering a curl that you never even use, and then you're stuck with all this inventory and money wasted. So keeping track of your inventory, and what you actually use is a good idea, and you can set up a system for that. I'm a very systemed person, though, and I don't know that it works for everybody.
No, if you're not, you better figure that out because, like, otherwise, you're going to be in the middle of a set realizing, oh my gosh, you're out of adhesive, and where's your adhesive going to come from? And I
Yeah.
was that person a long time ago. And there's still times where it's like I really have to be regimented with my routine and my systems as well because I think I naturally lean towards the other type of person.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just overwhelm and stress, but I do.
Yeah, I do sometimes, and I mean, if it weren't for Amazon, I feel like I would fail some days. Like, thankfully, I can spend an extra $2 and it will be delivered in, like, 3 hours.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Amazon
I
is great. I was thinking that the other day as I was, like, planning my son's birthday party. I was like, "What did moms used to do?"
Yes,
Like,
and
how
then I started feeling bad for my mom, actually, and I was like, "Oh, man,
I
you
know.
probably did a really great job, and you couldn't just drive to Walmart every 5 seconds like I hop on Amazon."
I know it.
So
Poor them.
oh, yeah, I don't
Kudos
know
to
how
them.
they parented.
Speaking of mothers, you're a mother, and I remember a post, I don't even know when it was, but you said something about mom guilt and your take on it. I would love for you to share what that is and if it's changed at all or if you still feel that way and your advice to parents out there.
'Kay. Okay, so I have 3 kids. I have a son that is now 14, and I have twin girls that are 8. And my twins are, first of all, actually why I stopped lashing and went gung ho into products and training. Um, I was 35 weeks pregnant with my twins, and I was massive. Um, and I was like, I cannot do lashes anymore. Like, I was so far from the table.
Yeah, physically, how?
Belly was so far. So that's, if anyone was wondering, like, what pushed me to get into product, it wasn't that I was, like,
Aw,
for most reasons, like some people, I just was like, "I physically can't lash anymore," and I also was like, "I don't know if I can afford to send 3 kids to daycare." So at the ages that my kids were, I would have had 3 in daycare and none in school yet. So that's what pushed me into product. But so, okay, mom guilt. I think that it comes for a lot of people, and I think that I am just odd in some things. When I had my son, I was a single mom, and he went to daycare every day, and I did lashes Monday through Friday all day. And that's just what it was. That was the beginning stages of growing my business and how it is. And now that he is 14, I mean, he sees me like do homework with his sisters or something like that. And he's like, I don't think you did that with me. And I'm like, you're right, I didn't. I was building my business, I was making sacrifices, but now that you're 14, I'm here, and we've talked so much about it too, and I'm open about it, like, "Yeah, I didn't do that with you. I didn't teach you your ABCs. I had to work and grow my business, but you were taken great care of," and he
Yeah.
knows that. And I don't for some reason, I don't feel guilty about that because it's not like I was out, gallivanting around doing who knows what.
Right.
I feel like I was teaching him, how to work, how to provide for your family, and that you can do it even while having a family. You do have to make sacrifices, but it is possible. And with my daughters, I feel like they were raised a little differently. They didn't quite go to so much daycare. They went more to like our office and worked with us more. I have one daughter that is like, I want to go to work with you. I want any day off, like if it's a Monday or a Friday or spring break or something that they have from school. She's like, my husband goes to the office every day. And she's like, I want to go to work with dad.
Oh my
But
gosh.
I see it as like, oh, not like, oh, the poor kid has to go to work with his parent, her parent.
Right.
She is more learning to work, and we do pay her like, here's a treat, well, like soda, or here's a dollar or two, like, so she feels like accomplished, and
Yeah.
she doesn't do much other than she loves to make boxes. That's what she's capable of doing right now. So that's what it is. It does take a lot of computer breaks and work on the computer. But I think it's important, and I really enjoy that my kids get to see us working hard and including them and showing them what we do. For Take Your Kid to Work Day, which I didn't even know was still a thing. My son came to our office because he doesn't understand. He's like, "You sit on your computer all day. Like, what do you do?" And so it was nice to go and show him, this is what we do. We actually do work. Sometimes he's like, you don't really, and he doesn't understand like where I go when I go out of town. I'm like, I would love to take you to a conference or a trade
Yeah.
show. When I told him like that I went to your summit and I spoke on stage, he's like to people, like on stage. Yeah.
Oh my
They
god.
So I loved that you brought your son too at such a young age,
Mhm.
and you could because you're in the same state and whatnot. I couldn't really because I travel state to state.
Right.
Okay, so I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you have mom guilt?
I don't really like it's in the sense where I'm like, "Oh, should I feel guilty about this?" And I don't naturally feel guilty about it because always saw it as the same way you did is like I'm excited that he will get to see both of his parents cuz his dad owns a business too and we're not together or anything, but I know that he's getting that from both sides. And I also really try to make my time with him when he's outside of school and he's not with his dad and he's with me, which is majority of the time. I try to make that really impactful and I'm always doing like adventure days with him. So I really do feel like he's got a pretty great life and that's the way I look at it. So even if you're a mom that's like working a lot of hours, I think you're doing a good job and we should
Yeah.
give ourselves more grace, not make ourselves feel guilty for that.
Yes, and I think for me too, so, right now, my schedule is I work from the time my kids go to school, which is, like, 8-ish, and then till about 3 p.m., and then once they're home from, say, 3 to 7 p.m., I'm like, "I'm all yours, like,
Same.
let's do what you need or want," or, and then once it's about 8 p.m., I'm like, "Alright,
Now,
bye."
I have a question. You're really systemized at work. Do you have that going on at home too? Like, do the kids have to have, like, do y'all do like a nightly reset? Like, walk me through that too, because I feel like it's a little bit linked.
Yeah. They totally are. Okay, so for me, I am totally scheduled in both. So generally at the beginning of the week, say Sunday, every Sunday I go through my schedule with my kids, my husband, my family, I guess. And I'm like, okay, Monday you have this, Tuesday you have that. Let's make sure you have a ride to this on Wednesday. You have a game on Saturday. I plan out my meals.
Wow.
Um, I do all my Instacart delivery grocery on Sunday or grocery shop, whatever it might be, to make sure that I'm not wasting time going to the store 5 times that week because I forgot X, Y, and Z, or I have no idea what I'm gonna make for dinner. I do like cooking, so I do cook my family dinner like 4 nights a week. And then Saturdays Fridays and Saturdays, they know mom does not cook. So Fridays we normally order pizza, and then Saturdays it is they can cook their own food. So they're all at ages where I'm trying to teach them like, okay, let's learn how to make ramen. Let's learn how to make mac and cheese or a quesadilla, something simple so that they don't always need me and that they have their own independence because I mean they do need to learn to feed themselves. Um,
That is
so
awesome.
I do look through our whole schedule. And then, we have bedtimes. We have, all right, go do your whole bedtime ritual. And I have lists for all of my kids. And one of my children is just like me. And she will like read that list and check it off. And then I have another child that's like, what? What do you need me to do? What list? And just does that child does its own thing. And I won't even say a gender, which one, but they're all different. They all come with their own personalities and challenges. So I just try my best to work with them.
Wow. So cool. I love to hear about people's routines in life because I think I'm always trying to take their tips and stuff and apply it to my life because it is a challenge. And I think it makes it a little bit easier when you have a plan and when you are a little more organized.
Yeah.
Because again, when you are having like a down day or something, those things are there for you. You have a clean house or clean
Yeah.
clothes and dishes. So it's not like it's just all piled up and now
Yeah.
everything's bad. But yeah.
I feel like because we are working moms, you have to kind of, and we don't have all the free, frivolous time that a non-working mom might have. Um, I feel like we have to have plans. Like, every Wednesday, my kids clean the house. Um, and they all have their duties, and I mean, I have mine too, but now that my kids are older, I can put a lot of the cleaning on them. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, this is why I
That
had you."
is a good idea to have it like a weekly thing because I remember growing up and it being kind of like a get up, why are you still sleeping? Like my mom is like really sweet, but I do remember
Yeah.
sometimes like on the weekends it would just feel like I really just want to sleep in and my mom's like rage cleaning right now and now I have to polish the stairs and I wanted
I
to
mean, I do that. I'm like, "Why haven't you done your chores? My house is a mess." So, I think it's a lot harder these days because parents I feel like we, as a parent today, have more challenges than our parents did, specifically with, like, TV and devices and screens. Kids are typically more into that than wanting to do what we want them to do.
Yeah, and I also think like we all played outside a ton when we were
Yeah.
younger and you could just send your kids outside to go play and you could trust that they'll be safe and I don't really feel like that. I don't think I
Right.
would do that to be honest
Yeah,
to Blake. I wouldn't let him just go roam outside. But
I know. Oh, and he's little too.
yeah, even when he gets older though, I don't think
Yeah.
I will be comfortable with that.
I know, it is very, very different. I feel like I almost can't even ask my mom advice or things because I'm like, "You parented me 30 years ago, and it was different."
Yeah,
So
exactly. So a common discussion lately I've been having with a lot of people, basically since the summit last year, was about artists partnering with bigger brands and what that can look like. So, can you share, because you hired someone we all know and love, and she's the director of education for EBL now. And can you just share about that experience, what that's been like, and also what it takes for an artist to work with a brand like EBL?
Yes. I feel like this is a common question and lots of people want to know. But I do want to preface with it doesn't need to be something that everybody needs to aspire to do or be. So don't feel bad if you're like, wait, I don't want to do that. Or, you can also be a lash artist and continue to do that and be amazing. But if you do want to venture into working with or for a company of any kind, so in January 2023, I hired Wednesday. She's Wednesday the Lasher on Instagram. And first, before I hired her, she was a brand rep for our company. And a brand rep is basically someone that represents your company, talks more probably about your product, and receives something in return for it, usually a discount. So every so often I get a message on Instagram from someone, and you can see who, if they've sent you a message before or tagged you before or something along those lines. I will typically sometimes had nothing from them, and they will say, "Hey, are you looking for brand reps? Is your company like brand reps?" Um, and I would advise that that not be the first message that you send to a company if you are looking to be affiliated with them. Um, what I like to see is that you already used our product and you already liked something about our company, or you liked our product, or you interacted with us in some way, before you go ahead and basically just ask for a discount. Um, so I would say to make sure that that's not your first interaction, because it is kind of a turn off if I were to say like we were dating.
Yeah,
Um, sorry. I feel like that's so forward, but
it makes sense. It's like saying, like, I get what you're saying. Never mind. I was going to make
yeah.
a joke, but never mind.
Okay, so I had Wednesday on our stories. I really enjoyed what she shared and how she presented herself. So I continued to invite her back, and she was great for me to work with. So I worked with her more and more. And I think the feeling was mutual. And I would say that if you want to work with a brand, maybe start in small increments to see, like, okay, are we a good vibe? Do we mesh well? Do we have clear expectations for each other? Am I performing at what they want me to do? Those type of things. And if you're ever curious or you're not sure, just communicate it to them. Like, hey, did you like that? Or what do you think of this? Once you've now, built a relationship and you're using their product. So Wednesday represented us for a while. I knew once I met her in person, so I did meet her in person a few times before she became an employee. Um, I was like, wow, I really like her. I really like one thing I noticed about her, and I tell her this all the time that I really like, is that when she is invited on something like a podcast or stage, she always says thank you. And she always says it more than once. And sometimes I don't say it at all. And not because I'm being rude, but because I get so flustered and scared that when you
Forget.
get up on stage and yeah, you just forget.
Hmm.
And so I naturally forget a lot of things while I'm presenting, and she composes and holds herself so well. And I think when someone is representing your company, you need to make sure that they are holding themselves together well and whatnot. So she checked a lot of the boxes for me. So when I did hire her, I actually was not looking to hire. Um, she approached me, and I would say she probably did it maybe at the right time of our friendship relationship. And not only did she like present it to me, she also made me a slideshow. It was like 10 or 15 minutes long of all of the things that she could do for me. So she didn't just say, "Hey, I want to work for you," because I would have been like, "Oh, cool." I don't have anything for you to do because I just wasn't thinking about it. And I saw her slideshow and I was like, wow, this is insane, amazing, and wow, okay, yeah, you can do all of those. You know, I I
Wow.
it wasn't after the slideshow, it wasn't even like a question, it was like and I think that's where I was really, sold, is she not only said, "Hey, like, I'd love to work with you," but she also gave me all the problems that she could solve for me, you
Right.
know?
It's so cool.
So yeah, that's how it began for us. It's worked out really well. So I think if you want to work with a company, you need to start pretending that you're working for them, even though you're not. And I had a photographer tell me that once. She's a brand photographer, and I used her for a few years. And she said, I really wanted to start working with brands. So I started buying their product, taking their photos, and posting them on my Instagram and tagging them. So, like, she does product photography. So she would go buy like usually stick to like small shops. She would buy baby headbands or baby blankets or, little kids' toys or figurines of some kind. And she would take amazing photos of them. She was not being paid for them. And she purchased the products with her own money. And then those brands started reaching out to her. And that's how she grew her business.
Okay, so last question is what is new and upcoming for EBL? Like, is there any fun things you can share with us?
So, a couple new things that we have been able to implement recently. Two training things, thanks to Wednesday, is once a month, we are now offering free mini courses. And I feel like we started doing this because 2020 changed so much in our business. And this has been a great tool that we can use is online reaching our customer base in an online way. So we started doing once a month, we choose a topic and it's typically a business topic. It's not necessarily how to do lash extensions. So for example, this month it is product retail. And last month, I cannot remember the dang topic, but it's usually a topic of some sort of business something. So it's 1 hour. It's free if you join us live. We do it every third Monday of the month. We don't send the replay. So if you miss it, it is available to purchase. But we have a 45-minute presentation and then 15 minutes at the end for Q&A, so you can ask any questions that you have, and it's been really fun for us, I feel like, to communicate with our customers and just help people. I really want to focus on helping lash artists grow their business, and maybe motivate you guys to do things or teach you how to do new things that you may not have learned before. And then we have another course that we also made available online. This one is a purchased course, and it's all about eye styling. And it's just a small workshop. I think it's about 3 hours. And that one's really fun. So, oh, and we recently came out with an app. So if you have
Oh,
not downloaded our app, you can find it in the app stores, and it's just EBL Lashes.
amazing. That's so exciting. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us. It's been nice to have you back.
Thanks. Thanks for having me. You are awesome. And I will see you at Lash Boss Summit.
Yes, I'm so excited. All right. Thank you all so much for listening today. I will be back next Tuesday with the next episode.